I've spent almost 4 decades in the corporate world, right from a management trainee all the way up to a chief executive officer. And my entire journey has been in business development. One of the greatest nightmares that a lot of salespeople had in my team were cold calling. Cold calling seemed to be one huge problematic area. But yet, for me, I got the best business from doing cold calls. So I've drummed up 9 sledgehammering tips for effective cold calling, just for you. I've always wondered why cold calling is such a nightmarish thing for many salespeople. Is it the fact that you're going to interact or interface with someone you don't know for the first time? It's not a reference, it's a gamble. Or what is it? Because let me tell you, I found cold calling the most successful strategy in my entire career when it came to sales. And let me give you my opinion about cold calling. You see, it's never the call that is cold. It is always the caller. And that is a fact. Cold calling, the call is never cold. It's the caller that is. And how do we then turn this around and make it so much easier for you to do effective cold calling? So I've drummed up 9 sledgehammering tips for you from the archives of my life as a professional. Number 1, don't treat the call as a game of Russian roulette. Do you know what Russian roulette is all about? It's a very dangerous game played in Russia, where a gun with 6 cartridges only contains 1 bullet. And then they spin the cartridge, and then you're just supposed to put the gun on your forehead and pull the trigger. So if that particular cartridge is empty, you're safe. If it isn't, it's all over for you. You don't treat cold calling like that. It's not about, let me just give a call. If it hits, it hits. If I hit the target, I hit the target. If I don't, I don't. Don't treat it as a game of Russian roulette, because it really isn't. Tip number 2. Research the client. Generally, a lot of people who do cold calling don't necessarily research the client. They have a tendency to, only research clients which have come to them on a reference basis. But cold calling is a highly strategically planned activity. And one of the most important plannings in cold calling is researching your client before you call. So if you have a list of clients who you feel is part of your TG, target group, spend time first checking out who the client is. And that's so easy today, unlike my time where, it was so difficult. We had to call up people to find out if they knew the particular client. Today, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, you have everything around you. Google, for that matter, you have every handle around you to research a client. Research the client. Tip number 3, write an outline of what you need to say. This is very important. Like I said, it's a very strategic work that is done when it comes to cold calling. So you must have a script, some sort of a script you have which you can, which you are comfortable. Don't get a script that's written by somebody else. That's a big mistake people make. Make your own script so that it sounds natural. It sounds like it's coming from your way of thinking, your way of talking, your way of negotiating. Right? So please get a script organized. Tip number 4, preparing a strong opening sentence. This is very important. See, you have just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds to catch the attention of the person you're calling up. In that 10 seconds, you have to have what we used to call way back, at my time, a GBS, or a great binding statement. And that one statement should catch the person's attention. Sometimes the best thing to do is, if you research the client carefully, that one sentence could be an appreciation of what that person is. If you know, for example, guys, if your client has just won an award or has won a couple of awards, your opening line could be, "Sir, I'm so happy to connect with you. And the fact that I'm speaking to someone who's won such and such and such and such awards." Well, if I had won awards and you spoke to me of that, I'd be most delighted to continue this conversation with you. So get your GBS in place before you make the call. 5, modulate the tone of your voice. This is very, very important, because remember, when you call up your client, all he's going to work on is your voice. He can't see you. You've not sent him a note earlier. He doesn't know you. It's just that one voice he's picked up on his phone from a number he doesn't recognize. So your tone has to be very soft, very classy, with a lot of finesse. Because like I said, you have just your first 10 seconds is all that you have to connect with him. Tip number 6, listen more than you talk. In cold calling, this is one rule that is very often ignored. You know why? Because for you it's just Russian roulette, right? So you're constantly calling up number after number and just hoping that one of those fishes hop onto your hook or bite onto your hook, actually. So the moment somebody does, you start talking, because you feel that internal excitement that somebody's not turned you down. And that is a recipe for disaster. So don't do that. Like I said, 10 seconds, speak, appreciate, and then let him do the talking. Because he's definitely going to ask you why you called, what's the reason behind it, and you connect your product with a possible desire to buy. Tip number 7, don't waste their time. Remember something. Just because a person has opened up to speak to you, it does not mean that that person's time is not important for him or her. Be very precise and be very crisp. Because today's world, people don't have the time. So you've got to catch that attention with something that is very crisp and very precise. And this is when, like I said earlier, creating a script is very, very critical. And when you're done with that script and a conversation is on, allow your client to speak and give solutions precise and crisp. 8, learn how to deal with rejections. This is very, very important. All salespeople who are involved in cold calling must learn to accept rejection, because that is going to happen. Let me tell you, out of 10 cold calls, if I could get even 2 people to connect with me, I would be ecstatic. I would go ballistic, for the simple reason that 8 are going to say no. Sometimes even 10 do it. So don't get disturbed about it. Don't get hassled about it. That's all right. Because remember something, your client has a right to reject you at any given point of time. So don't get upset with it. Remain motivated, because you will get the right client eventually. And finally, a bird in hand is worth 2 in the bush. Don't adopt an attitude, "Oh, I've got a big list of clients. There are many here. Oh, if this guy doesn't bother, it doesn't matter. I can always jump to the next name on the list." That's not qualitative cold calling. When you have a list of clients you need to call up, each one is critical. You never know who will actually give you the business. Look at each one as an opportunity. Even if you get rejected at the end, it doesn't matter. But give the best you can to every call you make. You never know when the client just might call you back again, even after rejecting you. And this has happened very often to me, very often, where I've had a client calling back and saying, you know what, I'm sorry I said no that point of time, but you made a little sense about something. Can we talk about it? And this has happened so often. Oh, so very, very often. So I hope these 9 sledgehammering tips help you. And if not, if you want to know some more, please do comment on the comment box below. And I'll be very happy, delighted in fact, to create another power pack just for you. So this is Anand Nair signing off for now. I'll see you soon, very soon, with another awe-inspiring Sledgehammer's Edge power pack.